What does Alfred Wegener have to do with your most significant life questions? More or less everything. If you haven't heard of him, he's the guy who invented plate tectonics, and Alfred and continental drift and all that help us understand our duty about as well as any metamodel can ever explain anything. See, most of our core decisions in life actually are actions. In retrospect, they play out as stuff we did and stuff we didn't do. We frame these actions in words. Choices are events we either affirm as our own or reject as the road not taken. But how much of our action naturally follows a predetermined course, decided and planned, and how much relies on flexibility in the moment to change that course, improvised and responsive, varies widely between situation and individual. For most of us, the hardest choices are those that require our persistent application of self-discipline over time. Exactly what we deem as requiring of discipline is specific to us. Some must be disciplined in keeping an open mind, others in staying the single course. Regardless, we share the same reality. We either do the hard thing life asks of us, or we choose a lesser course. At the same time, it's critical we know when to deviate from our heuristics. No matter how many parallels we can draw, this moment has particulars that make it distinct, and may render the rule circumstantially moot. So, plate tectonics have a lot to teach us about ourselves, because Alfred Wegener has a lot to teach us about ourselves. He intuited plate tectonics as the explanation for continental fittedness, and promoted this explanation until his death, against the unified naysaying of nearly all of his colleagues. It would not be until 30 years after his death that his peerage finally decided he was right. Alfred Wegener was a German scientist born in 1880 who died in 1930 in Greenland. He earned his doctorate at 25 in astronomy and physics. He was also a meteorologist. In 1913, Wegener participated in a particularly dangerous glacial crossing. By the time they crossed the whole continent of Greenland, they had eaten all their dogs and horses. Fortunately, they had gotten to within a few kilometers of the innermost settlement on the western coast of the island and were rescued by a preacher who happened to be in the area visiting some isolated parishioners. He also got married in 1913, which led him directly into World War I. 1914 saw him enlist in the German army, where he was wounded twice in combat in just a few months, after which he was assigned to a weather division and was required of him constant travel. 1914 was a very busy year for Alfred Wegener, because it was this year that he also published his first version of the continental drift theory. What had inspired him? Well, he noticed the puzzle configuration. The continents appeared to fit together, but he didn't infer what everybody else did. At the time, people imagined a balloon inflating gradually, like the Earth, causing the continents to get further and further apart. But for Wegener, the puzzle configuration did not elicit this balloon image, but rather an image of solid plates floating on or in a liquid medium. In 1922, he published his third and final quote-unquote edition of the paper, to withering criticism from his peers. After that, a fourth final presentation of the paper was admitted into a symposium in which its validity was rejected by all attendees except one, the chairman of the symposium. One challenge we all share with Alfred is the reality of having ideas that others simply don't agree with. It's called dealing with naysayers.
Talking with famous people.